Making the world a better place is an intricate puzzle, and piece by piece, the women and men of Rotary have worked hard to fight hunger, promote literacy, and move the world toward peace. But there is still much to be done, still some missing pieces, and one of those missing pieces is you. Learn how you can help Rotary put together a better world at Rotary.org. Rotary, humanity in motion.
Hi, welcome to This Is Rotary. I'm Keith Doolan. This week we look at some of the programs of Rotary International. We'll talk with Stuart Batty, who'll tell us about the Polio Plus program and also about the emergency relief kits. We'll also meet Arnold Kelly, who's just returned from the devastation in Haiti, and he'll be talking about the Shelter Box program.
Haiti earthquake in January was a huge disaster. It cost hundreds of thousands of lives and displaced hundreds and thousands of people whose homes were destroyed either totally or partially, resulting in them just fleeing in the main Port-au-Prince and living in whatever, under whatever cover they could find, and in many cases there was just sheets, bed sheets, or the odd sheet of iron or door or anything but a cardboard. We set about providing them with our standard box. Soon realised that all that was needed there in the main was tents, so we then moved towards just bringing in as many tents as we could into the city and surrounding area. I'm one of 5 New Zealand shelter box response team members. That is, our role is to take our shelter boxes into disaster zones and see that they get into the hands of the most needy. Personally, it involves being on call as a volunteer to respond to disasters throughout the world, going to those areas and collecting our boxes from the ports and transporting them to warehousing or somewhere of safety, and then allocating them to the most needy in the disaster zone. Our standard shelter box consists of a 10-person tent and basic living equipment for 10 people to survive who have absolutely nothing else. And that is bedding, ground sheets, cooking equipment, a cooker of some form, water purification equipment, water carriage equipment, tool kit, rope, and basic necessities for life. There's 150 of us throughout the world. We come from a variety of backgrounds and cultures, and yes, that's all part of learning, and in the field it's really helpful to have a wide range of experience and cultural background. I've only just recently come back from 2 months in Haiti, helping out in the earthquake zone there. I think a bigger culture shock coming home. It's quite strange for me to come into a central city park like this and not have it completely covered with tents and thousands of people living in this environment. In Port-au-Prince, where I spent most of my time, a city of 4 million people, areas like this were populated by thousands of people who had been made homeless within the immediate proximity. It was quite difficult for us in many cases in the city to find space to put up a tent for people. We had to often clear areas that 3 or 4 families were living in to provide one tent. It was a dangerous place to work. There were a lot of bad criminals at large over there. Many of the prisons collapsed in the earthquake and were at large, so we chose not to travel very much at night for safety reasons. Rioting had become a weekly event when I left. Local people protesting about lack of government and lack of resources and lack of help. Our tents were very much sought after, and travelling with large numbers was like trying to travel with gold, or large quantity of gold or cash. People could see and soon knew what we were carrying, and we had to right on top of the trucks to protect the tents, and continually mindful of people wanting to steal them and cash in on them. And it's no doubt in my mind it was a bigger culture shock coming home to people having everything they need. We were providing people with hope and somewhere to live, and similar to, I think, to back in New Zealand, to simply give somebody a 3-bedroom home for nothing. It was just like that, giving the most needy, those that had nothing, some hope and dignity. Shelterbox is a Rotary, a global Rotary project, and yes, it's a growing organisation throughout the world.
It actually started in front of the TV one evening in my home, watching a news programme, very much like we see every day at 6 o'clock, and the ubiquitous truck arrived somewhere in a disaster, and people literally were throwing loaves of bread onto the floor, and there's a huge melee going on, and people fighting for these loaves of bread. And I said to my wife, why didn't they just hand the bread out? I was really keen to do something, so it started in a heartbeat. I didn't plan it. It was just one of these things in life where, you know, you cross the street, and by the time you cross the street you're doing something different. After watching this thing, I literally got a piece of paper out and wrote on it what I would need in a disaster: shelter, warmth, comfort, dignity. I took it into my Rotary Club one evening and said, look guys, this is what we need to be doing. And they said that was fine, and off we went. We launched it officially in April 2000 as a Millennium Project of my Rotary Club. It took me about a year, and in that first year we raised enough money for 146 boxes, which we thought was phenomenal. Personally, I visited disaster areas around the world. Haiti was worse than people think that it is. On the news program, which everybody sees, you can never tell the real story through the lens of a camera, sadly. You can't experience the smells and the real sounds that go on around you. Imagine a city 3 times the size of Auckland just being devastated within minutes, and 3 million people put on the streets. 95% of buildings damaged or destroyed, 1 million people living in the streets, and unafraid to go back into their building even if it was damaged, because what a lot of people don't realise is that sometimes many thousands of aftershocks, and some of the aftershocks are stronger than the actual one that caused the damage. So Haiti was really bad, certainly in the history of in the short 10-year history that we have at Shelterbox, the biggest disaster that we've been involved with. Our work in Haiti is still ongoing. We actually started within 48 hours of the disaster on January the 12th. As of today, we've actually put in about 17,000 boxes, and we're still working, and we anticipate well in excess of 22,000 boxes by the time we've finished. I've been a Rotarian for 23 years, and you know, without Rotary, our friends around the world, Shelterbox probably wouldn't exist, because I say endlessly that it's the cement that binds Shelterbox together. 32,000 clubs in 200 countries around the world, 1.2 million like-minded people all over the world. So that actually gives us that confidence. And when I started Shelterbox, in that first day, I did it knowing that I had a million friends around the world that were there to get behind this project and help. So without Rotary, Shelterbox wouldn't exist. It's as simple as that.